Yes, hello dears. This is the Ninth Dimensional Pleiadian Collective, and we're very happy and very, very honored to have an opportunity to connect with you. Some of you again, and others of you for the very first time, so that's always a special treat for us. So we're going to cover a lot of ground today, and we're going to try to keep it relatively linear in fashion. In other words, to present you somewhat of a story, but you're going to find that we go off on tangents, and we do this with intention because it gets you thinking outside of the linear box, if you will. So, if you want to think of it as mental gymnastics, that's what we're here for, to get you thinking in non-linear ways. So bear with us. As was recommended before, if you want to jot down some notes of things you want to ask us in a bit here, we will be more than happy to answer and give you our perspective. And the information that you get today is just that. It is our perspective. Higher isn't better, it's just different. All right? And that's one of the things we're going to talk about today, is to remind you that you are creator beings, that you have the necessary perspective. You have all of the information that is required in order for you to make this transition. But as we said, we're here to lend a hand, so we will give you ours. We're happy to give you our 2 cents, if you will. So you all are aware that changes are upon you. And the Earth herself is moving from the 3rd into the 4th, and eventually she's headed into the 5th dimension. And you are going along with her. And this has never happened before, where a planet has gone through the ascension process with conscious beings on it. It is a unique process, and we don't know exactly how it's going to turn out. We don't know how you are all going to find your way, what specific way you're going to utilize to get there. And we already see the wheels turning for many of you, going, how do you not know if you are in the 9th dimension? How do you not know what's going to happen? Because we're not certain which version you're going to choose. You've got major choices ahead of you, and many of you have already exceeded where we thought that you would be. So you have changed timelines. You've gone a lot further, a lot faster. So that's why. And we'll talk a bit more about that later today as we go as well. But with this transition, all right, because you're holographic in nature, what is happening to the microcosm happens to the macrocosm. In other words, what happens to each individual happens and affects the whole. All right, are you all familiar with holography? Also quiet. Yes. So for those of you who aren't, any part, if you were to take a mirror, all right, and you smash the mirror, and that whole image that was contained before you smashed it is showing up in every single slice. All right? And so as you are a slice, as you make changes, that change is reflected in the whole and in every other slice that there is. So the changes that are going on here are going to affect the entire universe. And a lot of people aren't talking about that just yet, because it's a lot for you all to think about. It's a lot for you all to take on. There tends to be a sense or a burden of responsibility. All right, that you seem overwhelmed that what you're doing is going to affect the entire universe. So taking it in small bits, that you're just changing yourself, sometimes is a better perspective for you all to hold on to. Because it's just much easier and much more manageable to you in this current state. But we bring up the fact that it's going to affect the entire universe because there are many, many beings watching. And they're watching because it will affect them. Earth is a grand experiment where genetic material was taken throughout this galaxy and from several others. And you were created, you are hybrids, and the genetic material on this planet, in all of your different species, contains along with it the emotional experiences of all of these different donators, if you will. And that means you have a very rich playground. You have extremely high highs and extremely low lows in your emotional range, and that doesn't happen anywhere else. All right? It doesn't happen anywhere else in the galaxy for you to go through so many different variations of emotions. On other planets, when you have incarnated on other planets, you have maybe experienced 10 different emotions in a lifetime. How many emotions have you experienced now in this life?
Too many.
Oh. Not enough, your higher self would say. We're still going for it.
Yeah, right.
Yes. So it makes it a fun adventure because you are a being of light. You are divinity. You are source energy who has projected itself into this game. This is a game. It's like a play, or as we prefer to think of it, an improv, where you create a blueprint of what you want your life to look like, and then you don't have to stay directly on the script. You can go off book, as they say, and begin to improv and make changes. All right? And so that's free will, and that's what you've got down here on this planet. So as you're going through this transition, it's going to be very, very important for all of you to stay grounded in your bodies. And that's one of the things that we are seeing right now that would help you all the most, and where you are in the largest numbers having a difficult time. When you first came to this planet, if you hadn't spent a lot of time here, you thought, you know, what was I thinking? This is very intense. I don't think I can be fully here. So your energy was half out of your body. You never fully grounded into the physical vehicle because you thought if you grounded in, then you were going to feel more. You were going to experience more. And it serviced you to be half out of your body for a while. All right? But now the time's come that you've got to get in it. All right? In order to do what you all wanted to do, you've got to be grounded and present in your bodies. So we want to give you an exercise here. And you can all do it right now along with us if you'd like. But one of the best ways for you to get into your body is to visualize a beautiful pulse of golden, radiant, sparkling light that pulses from the center of your galaxy, which is a black hole. All right, you don't have to know exactly where it is, but you can envision a black hole and a pulse of light coming through it. And as it's traveling, it moves past all the other stars, past all the other planets. It moves closer into your solar system. It moves close to your planet. It comes down through your atmosphere, and it enters in through the crown of your head and then into one single cell. And this beautiful radiant light fills this cell entirely. And the cell is so full that it can no longer contain the radiance of this light, and the walls become translucent, and the light disperses through the walls of the cell and into the next cell, where the process repeats itself. That beautiful golden radiant light is you. It is your soul essence. It is your own energy. And you have infused your energy into your cellular body. Take note of how all of you are feeling right now. Feeling a bit more connected to your body? Because we can see it. We can see it in each and every one of you. So when you get into your body, there are a number of things that happen. You complete a circuit so that it makes it much easier for you to feel like you're not picking up everybody else's stuff. For those of you who are incredibly empathic, those of you who are incredibly sensitive, you feel like you can be overwhelmed when you walk in a crowd. You feel people's anger, you feel people's pain. Sometimes you feel lucky, you feel their joy. But usually it's the lower emotions that you tend to sense because those are the most disruptive to you. But when you're firmly grounded in your body, it makes it much easier for you to hold your own frequency, so that you're not being swayed and dropping out of the frequency down to these lower ones. All right? Also, when you're not present in your body, it's like you're walking around picking up other people's garbage. All right? It just sticks to you. So you're not there to repel it. All right? You're not grounded in the body to activate your natural defensive systems, if you will. So it becomes more and more important as you go here to get in the body. Now, some of you remember in other lifetimes having some amazing abilities to be able to levitate, to be able to teleport, to be able to transmute energy, to change molecular structure. Any of these things sounding familiar to you all? And some of you want to do them again. All right, but you can't do it until you get in your body. All right, so being in your body is required for this transition. Now, you also, when you first start to awaken, a lot of you have this sense that you want to go home. You remember what it feels like to be connected. You remember what it feels like to be in joy and absolute love. Well, that's what you wanted to bring to this planet. That's why you chose to incarnate into physical form at this time. There are a lot of beings who decided that really wasn't what they wanted to do, but they would be there to support, to be supporters and assisters along the way. And you are showing them how it's done. So what you wanted to do was bring that sense of home here to this physical vehicle. All right? You know what's on the other side. You know what it's like to be out of body, to have a multi-dimensional perspective. You know what it's like to be an angelic being, because each and every one of you, there is an aspect of you that is an angelic being. Take a deep breath, all of you. That's a lot for you all to take in, because your perception of self is that you're small, that you're not expanded. And this is what we want to help change. We want to help change your perspective of that. So the goal of this project, all right, that you've taken on, this game that you've taken on here, is not about ascension. All right? This is a game of descension and reascension. You're already divine source, so how can you start at the bottom? You can't. You're already at the top, so you've got to descend. And that's what you did. You said, you know, how far can we go in physical form, in duality? How dark and how separate can we feel before we can come all the way out of it and reconnect again? You thought, that sounds like a really fun game. Who wants to give it a go? And so you all signed up, and here you are. So when we tell you that this is a game of reascension, that shifts your energy, because it's not a complete unknown. You've already been there. You've already done that. It's not something that you have to do for the very first time. And it changes your perspective. All of you are vibrating differently now. So it makes it much easier for you to go back through this process. And the process, again, was to reintegrate, all right, in order to ascend. So you are integrating all of those other lifetimes. You're taking all of those other adventures, and you're incorporating them into this vehicle. All right, you're calling back all of those fractured parts of yourselves, those other aspects that have felt separate for so long. You are clearing your judgments so that they can go home. But the home they're going to is all within you. You are reintegrating your higher selves into this physical form. That's the game you're playing. All right, and what does that mean? You know, what does that mean, my highest self? Think about those moments that you've had complete and total clarity. All right? Those moments, those are the ones that you're connected with your higher self. When you're giving a friend advice, and there's part of your mind that hears the advice that's coming out of your mouth and thinking, wow, that's quite profound. Where in the world did that come from? That's your higher self. You're reconnecting with that part of you. And that's the part of you that's going to be in the driver's seat as you go. You're reintegrating all of that. You're letting go of all your judgments, of all those lifetimes. And that's what's going to allow you to raise your own vibration and your own frequency. You know, as we said, there are a lot of beings who are out there watching what's going on. We like to refer to this as, you know, the reality TV show of the galaxy. You know, it's called the show Planet Earth. And everyone's tuned in to see what happens on the show every day. And so you leave your body at night and you meet up with your friends and you tell them what went on. Because as they can observe it, the only thing that they are able to see is through their own perspective. Wherever they are residing, whatever dimension that they're in, they are watching the event through the filter of that dimension. It's a bit like watching a television program where you see the action, but you don't always understand the motivations. So what you all do at night when you leave your bodies is that you go to meetings, you go visit councils, and you go deal with collectives. And do you always wonder why everything is a council or a collective? Because in the higher realms, you work that way. You work as groups. That's why there are 2,500 of us working with you today. And that's where you all are headed as well, as a group and as a collective. But we don't want to go too far down that tangent. So it's like watching that television set. All right? You leave your body at night and you go and you give reports. And your friends say, well, I was watching today and I saw you and you made this choice, but I don't understand why. Why didn't you do this or that? And you say, well, in that moment I had this rush of anxiety and I had this overwhelming fear, or this came up or that came up. And they say, well, now we understand. But we couldn't figure out why you made that choice. All right? So you're all very, very busy at night leaving your body, helping others to understand. Because as we said, not everyone gets to come to the game. Not everybody's interested in coming to the game because it's very, very intense and it's not an easy planet to be on. So we want to acknowledge that. The fact that this is not a simple planet to be on. We get sneak peeks, but no.
Yeah, you don't want to.
Yes. Well, when we
stay where you are.
when we connect with you, when we channel, that is the only opportunity that we have to get your perspective of what life is like other than incarnating into the dimension. It is the only time. So that's why we really enjoy connecting with you and having the opportunity to channel with you and for you. Whether it is in this arena or when any of you as individuals call upon us. It's a sneak peek, if you will, a preview. We've gone on such a big tangent. So, as we said, the best of the best is down here. You're playing the game. We're all learning. You're writing the books on how this reintegration process is done. You're writing the books on how to find unconditional love. In other words, the reintegration of light and dark. All right. This isn't about everything being all light or everything being all dark. It's about integrating the two again. It's not about either or. It's about the combination and being able to have both. And what you're learning and what you are having such a challenging time with right now is so important. And you see yourselves, as we said before, that you are somehow not the master. But we tell you, you are. You truly, truly are. Because as you make this transition and you come out on the other side, there is a whole nother realm for you to explore and experience. And that is the role of creator being. All right? That's what you're stepping into. And you are then going to work with everyone else so that they can do the very same thing that you've just done on this planet. And we'll tell you it's going to be a bit easier for you in some respects because you've got a lot of energy behind you. You've got a lot of universal energy as you're moving through sectors of space which are very rich in high vibrations, very dense with light particles, photonic energy. And as you move through those sectors, you're bathed in this energy, and that allows you the ability to clear more stuff easily. So from that perspective, you're going to have a little easier time than some of these other beings who will then start to make the transition as well. They'll have your blueprints on how it's done. That will assist them. But, they're not going to have that surge of energy that you have. So know that you've got support from the universe. And you've got a lot of beings who are here. It's a full house here today. There are at least 2 to 3 friends for each and every one of you, if not more, who are in this room right now, watching and observing. And each one has their own opinion and would like to get the 2 cents in. So, as we go today, you may find that the energy may shift slightly as we allow someone else to blend with our energy and give you information. They also get a sneak peek at the 3rd dimensional perspective as well. So we want to get you thinking not only about the transition that's coming, but what are you going to do after? What do you want to create? What do you want your world to be like? We want to shift your focus because all of you are focused on 2012. All right? 2012 is a time frame. It's not a particular date where everything is going to come to a halt. It's a time frame, and at the end of that time frame, you will find that Earth has removed her energy from the 3rd dimension because she's done. She's played in that arena. She's done everything that she wanted to do, and now she's going to move forward, just as you are. And there are some beings who decided that they didn't really want to go on to the 4th dimension, but they wanted to be here for this time so that they could take the knowledge and wisdom with them when they were ready to go, that they would be more prepared. And they will go and they will play in another arena that has a similar paradigm. But for those who are going along for the ride, it's time that you start to fantasize about what you want to create. Because right now, a lot of you are taking a back seat. You're waiting for someone to tell you what's going to happen, instead of getting in the driver's seat and seeing that you're the creator being who's making that happen based off your wishes and off your desires. So we want to shift that just a little bit because, again, you are the ones who have all the power. You're the ones who have all the information. Everything that you need access to, you have, because you're a divine source. You have access to all of those records and all of that information, and we already hear all the wheels turning and you're going, well, I can't access any of it. But you can. You can and you will. Intention is a huge part of manifestation. It is a huge part in developing new abilities like channeling, communicating with your guides. When you learn how to channel, all doors open for you, because then it's just a matter of which frequency do you want to tune into. If you wanted to connect with your higher self, that's one particular station. If you want to connect with the angelic realm, another. ETs, another. If you want to go into the Akashic records, that's another station. The process is the same. So we want to spend just a couple minutes here giving you some insights on how you can begin to channel if you haven't begun and you have a desire to do so, or if you have been channeling, this can often help you. This is the simplest exercise that we can give, but it is the most powerful, and it can affect you in many, many different ways. It gets you centered. If you're fatigued, if you're anxious, if you're upset, this is the fastest way to alter your energy field. And it is how you reconnect with the higher frequencies. So we want you all to find right now an image of an animal or a place that puts a smile on your face. All right? And we recommend that as opposed to people, because you've got all kinds of programs running at the subconscious level on around people. All right? So we want you all to find that. Have you all got one? All right. Take note of how you're feeling in your body. Do you feel lighthearted? Do you feel warm? Do you feel tingly? Do you feel expanded? Do you feel joyful? Do you feel uplifted? That's how you should be feeling all the time. How often do humans feel this way? Not very often. More and more. You're getting better at it. But this is where you want to go. This is where you should be striving to be. And anytime you catch yourself not in this frequency, then find this image to open you back up, because what it does is it puts you in a giant tube of light. You can imagine a 6-foot wide tube of light that you've now immersed yourself in, and it's a data stream. All right, you have access to all those things we mentioned before, your higher consciousness, the Akashic records, the angelic realms. When you're having problems and you're not sure which choice to make, put yourself back in this space, and that helps you to see clearer, that you can see a higher perspective and which choice may be more appropriate for where you really want to go. So when you drop out of this frequency and you're in fear, doubt, worry, stress, anxiety, this giant tube shrinks down to about 1 inch wide. So not a lot of information can come through this little tube, all right? So it's hard for you to see clearly. It's hard for you to connect. So when you want to connect with your guides or yourself, put yourself in this space. All you have to do is get yourself heart-centered. That's all you have to do as you go through this transition. You don't have to know about your past lives. You don't know what blocks you need to clear. All you have to do is get yourself heart-centered, and the rest will take care of itself naturally. Because when you're in this elevated frequency, anything unlike it that's resonating in your energetic field comes up to be cleared in your reality. All right? Anything unlike the higher frequencies comes up to be processed. That's the laws of resonance at its best. All right? If you've got two frequencies, one high, one low, the lower one's either going to raise itself to match the higher one, or it's going to go away. One or the other. All right? It's going to go find another space that's more hospitable. So, that's why we said as you're moving through this band, through this sector of space, you've got all these high frequencies that you're bombarded with, so the universe is already supporting you and helping you to bring some of those lower frequencies up and out. So put yourself in this heart-centered space. Now, you are either hardwired one of three ways. You're going to be clairaudient, clairvoyant, or clairsentient. All right? And if you don't know which you are, what's the first one that pops to mind for you? That's where you can begin. All right? Because your subconscious wants to help you, wants to tell you. So trust whatever pops up first. So clairvoyant, you're going to see. Clairsentient, you're going to feel. Clairaudient, you're going to hear. So you may hear it as someone in the next room, or you may hear it as the voice inside your head when you read to yourself, except the voice has a different quality. All right? If you see it, it may be in your mind's eye, it may be in your dream state, or in your daydreams, or it may be literally what you see energetically in front of you. And then clairsentient, you're going to feel it all in your body. And we think those of you who are hardwired for this usually are empathic as well. You're very good at picking up the emotions, but also you pick stuff up in your physical body, but you tend to dismiss it. It's sometimes easier because you are conditioned to see and hear, but not so much tune into the physical body. So that when you've really got to listen to what your body has to tell you and what are you feeling. And with all these abilities, one's just easier than the other. It's not that you're relegated to only work that way. It's just more natural. It's like being right or left-handed. One's just easier than the other for you. But you can be ambidextrous. It just takes a little practice. And as you continue to work, you will develop all of those abilities because you're getting more in tune with your whole vehicle, not just one sense or another. So check in, all right, and start to work. We want to encourage you all to start to work with others, and particularly in group energy, if you want to start channeling, because it is much easier to channel in group energy than it is to do it alone. And the reason for that is that as you're learning, you're going to drop in and out of that frequency. And others will hold it for you. All right? They'll help hold that frequency. And if you're working with others, you can also get instant confirmation that if you are channeling, person 1 is channeling, person 2 is asking the question, and person 3 is observing. Person 3 can hear before person 1 channels, and they're hearing the same thing and they get the confirmation. So you get it a lot faster. And the more trust you have, trust keeps your vibration up, doubt drops you down. So the more trust you have, the easier it is to connect. And so it keeps you up there. And the reason, we want to talk about this and we want to get you channeling is that we want to get you connected with your higher self. We want to get you connected and used to expanding yourself into those higher realms and having access to all that information, because you already do. All right? And we're not saying that you have to connect necessarily with another being, but even if you connect with your higher self, that's where we want to get you to. that you're getting information. You have the best information for you. As we're working today, take the bits and pieces that resonate and leave the rest behind. All right? As you work with any other being, same thing. If you don't feel uplifted by the conversation, then you get to end the conversation. You get to ask for someone else to come in, because, as we said, there are so many beings who are watching and who want to connect. It's just like you being in a room full of people. There are some people that you want to connect with and some that you prefer not to. And you still have that choice. Because remember, you are source energy. You are a creator being. And you're learning and practicing right now how reality is manifested. So that when you get into the other realms, when you get into the fourth dimension, which is a dimension where you have a perspective that is all-inclusive, you see all the probable timelines. You see what all your options are. You get sneak peeks of them, and then you get to walk down them. When you get into the fifth dimension, it is far more immediate, all right? That it just is there, and there is no need to exchange anything. You just manifest it, whatever you need. The fourth is a transitory zone to get you prepared, because you're coming from the third dimension with an energetic field and a belief system that has a linear perspective. So now you're having to change all of those old beliefs. You're changing it so that you can hold a higher version, a multi-dimensional version. And sometimes that takes a little practice and getting used to. All right, so you've got a bit of a transition there before you move on to the fifth. And you know you can go at your own pace. There is no special date. Because when you step out of the third dimension, you also step out of time. Time is a marker. We like to say it's like the Dewey Decimal System, where you find a book in the library, and it's the same thing. We know where to go to have what experience. It's coded. All experiences are coded in some way. All right, so we can find them again, so we can access the records. So, as you're going through your records, as you're going through your life, occasionally you come across some of your past lives. And they're not really past. They're all concurrent. They're all going on right now. Sometimes the future lives, but your mind can't really wrap your brain around it. So you just think of it as a past life and let it go with that. All right? How you experience reality is from this dimension as a singular line. We like to call it the harp of probability. All right? So each string of the harp has its own unique vibration and its own unique frequency to it. And you are constantly moving back and forth between those strings based on your vibration and the choices that you're making. The beauty of the third dimension is that you focus your energy so intently on one of those strings that you think that there is a past, a present, and a future, and you don't see any of the other strings right beside you. You don't see any of the other probable realities. That makes it unique in your experience, and that you get to really dive in and work through all of those emotions in their entirety without worrying about anything else. There is no past. All right, the past, what you're experiencing now, is an agreed upon set of circumstances that you will assume is a past. All right? And then the future is just not set. It's very nebulous. And your choices, as you make them, put you on different strings. As you make choices that increase or decrease your vibration, it puts you on different strings. But you all think that you're constantly on one. We're here to tell you that you're not. And this is what you're going to be reintroduced to, is the fact that you're constantly moving back and forth between these strings. When you experience deja vu, that sense of having been there, done that, well, you were on another string. All right, that's you moving between strings. When you move into the other realms, your perception changes slightly, so that if you want to think of a wheel with all the spokes going out, all right, you're standing in the center, and you can look down all of those spokes. And In one version, you think, well, all right, that could be an interesting choice. If I go down this one, I make this choice. Oh, that's interesting. I'm not interested in that one. So let's try this third one. And then you get to walk down it. So you can see all those other strings, all those other probabilities, all those other choices, and get a little sneak peek without experiencing it. And then you walk into it and you experience it. And that's the big difference between the third and the fourth dimension. So you are shifting the filter also that you're working with. The mind is the filter for the third dimensional experience. All right? It's what allows you all to see linear reality, or to perceive yourself in linear reality. The heart is the multidimensional filter. It's what allows you the ability to see multidimensionally, all right, to expand yourself in your awareness. And right now, you're just kind of moving back and forth between the two. Even as we talk, you all are moving back and forth. Some things you all are processing through your mind, and when it becomes too difficult, automatically you let that drop down into your heart center and process the information there. It's like the filter for the mind is not refined enough to hold that data, so it just drops out. But the heart can hold it all. So when you find yourself having a very difficult time understanding new concepts, just let them sit in your energetic center. If you want to do a visual, see a ball of light as the idea in your mind, and just see that ball of light drop to your heart and process it there. How does it feel to you? That's why emotions are so important. Because it's not what you're thinking that creates reality. It's what you're feeling, where your vibration is. All right? Your thoughts are a very small part of your vibrational field. Very, very small. So it's all about the emotions. Where are you vibrating emotionally in every moment? And when you get lost in the past, or when you start worrying about the future, you're diffusing your energy. You're throwing energy off. All right, because the only thing that really exists is the now. So what you're also working on right now is bringing energy back into the now. That's where all of your power lies. All right, you've got to get in the body, and then you've got to be fully present. All right, so that's the objective. Over the next 6 months, what you all are going to start focusing on more and more is getting in your body and just being conscious of being present. How am I feeling about, walking down the hallway? How am I feeling about brushing my teeth, or combing my hair, or having a conversation with my friend? It's all about that, not worrying about your laundry list of all the things you've got to get done for the day. That diffuses your energy. It's a drain. So it's also very tiring not to be present. So we encourage you to try to stay energetically in the now. When you're fully present, that's when, again, you are able to expand yourself, when you're able to get more and more information. And, this is just a game of you refining. There are days where you're going to feel really that you're lost someplace else, that your mind is elsewhere. Just be aware of that and see why you keep going there. What's there for me to keep looking at? What have I not let go of? What have I not dealt with yet? What emotion is coming up? It's all about your belief systems and all of your emotional programming. All right? You are a bioelectrical computer. And all of these thoughts you have are programs that are running. And your physical world is a projection of all of those energetic programs. So every experience that you create for yourself, whether it is the exchange with the cashier at the coffee shop, or whether it is with your lover, or your brother, or your sister, every experience is a reflection to show you exactly what programs are running. So if you encounter some sort of difficulty or argument, look and see why you've created it. How is it of service to you? What is it showing you? To neutralize these programs, seeing how or why you've created it in the first place is how you let go of the judgment. All right? When you go to that higher perspective, all right, and this is why we want to get you all channeling, connecting at least with your higher self. When you get that higher perspective as to why you've created it in the first place, you can shift it. You can shift your judgment. Pain is perception. Shift your perspective, shift the pain. All right, that's how you let go of it. It's really as simple as that. And we hear you all shaking your heads going, simple. What are they talking about? Simple. It's not simple. We understand emotionally it can be challenging to let go of ideas. But you're all getting there, and you're getting better at it, of seeing why you've created it. Your subconscious will tell you. So ask, the reason I created the situation is, and fill in the blank. Most likely, when you first start, you're going to get, I don't know. And you tell yourself, I don't know why. But that's because your conscious mind doesn't really want to know it. So continue on with it, and then something will pop into your mind, and you'll say, that's it. So, oh, wow, I didn't really realize that was the thought that was going through there. It probably isn't going to make logical sense, because we're not talking about logic here. We're talking about your emotions. All right? And emotions, especially if they're coming from a past life, all right, or if they're in resonance with a past life, you may not be aware of that. All right, so that's completely illogical to you, because you have no reference point for that emotion in this particular lifetime. So past lives, we'll come back around to that. We've heard it said by others, past lives are not important, and we will say we disagree. All right? They are important because they are part of who you are, but you don't have to get lost in them. All right? You don't have to know all the ins and outs about those lifetimes in order to utilize the information that's held within them, or to shift some of the energy that may be stuck, or that aspect of you that needs to be reintegrated. All right? You don't have to know all the ins and outs. How it works on the energetic level is that you contain within you all of the emotional experiences, all the records of this life, all of the lifetimes that you've had, and all the records of all of your genetic line. Those are all contained within your energetic field, within one level or layer of your energetic field. There are multiple layers that go out that access galactic records and universal records and so on and so forth. But the layer that we're talking about is with you, your other lives, and your genetic line. So all those records are within your energetic field. So those lives are all going on concurrently, remember? So if you have an aspect of you, let's say it's a lifetime in Egypt, and there were large issues with abandonment going on in that particular lifetime, what will happen is, because you want to take this vehicle with you into the higher realms, all right, that is still resonating in your energetic field, and you want to get it clear, what you will do is recreate that same vibration, that same frequency in this life. All right, you will create a situation in your external world which matches that frequency. It's like a room full of tuning forks. If you strike the A, all the other A's in the room will begin to vibrate. All right, and that's what you do. You can think of it like an antiviral software program, that when you find the solution of how to find non-judgment, you run that program, and anywhere else in your energetic field where abandonment is there, it's going to neutralize that charge. And so you heal that lifetime, if you will, or at least from this version of you. When you upgrade that program, you also send that information out to those other parts of you, to your genetic line, and they have the choice whether to accept that program and run it. All right, if they feel that it's not going to interfere with what they wanted to learn that particular lifetime, they will run that program and clear that issue from their energetic field. If that part of themselves really wants to work on that particular issue, like abandonment, I'll say, no, I'm just going to save that, it's there, but I want to work this through on my own. And so you will. But you don't have to know all the ins and outs of that lifetime to do it. All you have to do and work with is what you're experiencing in the now. What's getting activated? What's coming up for you? And oftentimes you all will grab onto a past lifetime and stay there. You want to know more about what happened in Egypt. You want to know about that life. You want to know what you learned. And you get stuck. And again, that's an energy drain. If your energy isn't in the present with this particular vehicle, with this particular body, then it's going elsewhere. All right, that's a drain. So what we recommend for you to do is to know that this is the most important lifetime for you. All right, not just because of the fact that this is the lifetime that's going through the ascension process, and that does make it a bit unique, all right? But all those other lifetimes are also helping this vehicle, this version of you, to make that ascension process. But it's the most important one because this is where your focus is, all right? There's another aspect of yourself which has got that one covered, all right? So all that you really have to work on and focus is with this one. And the information, as it is appropriate, is going to come back to you. You're going to remember. You're going to access those records. And usually the past lifetimes or future lifetimes that you are accessing are the ones that have bits and pieces of information that you're working on in the here and now. Because you have thousands upon thousands of other lifetimes. All right? And you are choosing the ones which have similar vibrations to what you're going through in the here and now. Those are the ones you're remembering. Otherwise, there's no point for you to go back in and dive into those records. There's just no need. It's a bit like going back and reading a book from kindergarten. Do you really need to go back and read that? No. No. You got the information that you needed then, and that's fine. So, this really is the most important lifetime. So enjoy it. Enjoy life. Have fun. And that's really what all this is about, is increasing your joy. This whole process of ascension is bringing more joy, more light in. And that brings us all the way back around where we started here. In what do you want to create? What do you want your future to look like? Start fantasizing about it. You can take an image of your favorite character in a book or a movie and see them projected into the future. And what is their life like? What are their buildings like? How is the relationship with the planet? How are the relationships with each other? What do they do all day? How do they interact? And when you're projecting someone else in the story and not you, you're not activating your own survival issues. All right? You're not activating your own issues, but it's getting you thinking, and it's getting you moving outside of the box. Because as we said, you all are very attached to 2012. What's going to happen? Well, what do you want to happen? There are multiple versions of the Earth that are coexisting one on top of another. All right? They're occupying the same space, but in different frequency ranges. And as you move forward in time, these versions of the planet are moving and separating and going down different timelines. So that they're having different group experiences as well as individual experiences. So one group, those who are not interested in moving into the fourth dimensional realm, will create a very dense third dimensional experience that may incorporate a lot of death, a lot of destruction, a lot of manipulation, a lot of control issues. All right, that's a version, but that doesn't mean that has to be your version. If you're holding a frequency, all right, remember we talked about the laws of resonance. The lower frequency either has to rise up or it's going to go someplace else. And this higher version, all that lower stuff is going to pass you by because there's nothing resonating in your energetic field to attract it. And if by chance there is, you just process it out. All right, you recognize it and you process it. But what will happen is that you can see down into the lower realms. You can see all of the drama playing out, but you don't have to be part of the drama. You can be completely separate. You can create a reality which is joy-filled, which there is unlimited abundance, that you get to play and have a good time with your friends, and they're all pretty happy, all right, where you get to express your creativity and explore all different kinds of things. You're not limited. So this is in part why we want to encourage you to really start thinking outside the box, to start fantasizing about what you want to create. We do want to make one comment here about predictions. And we try not to make too many of them. And when we do, we're able to because the probability is very, very strong. But even then, it's not set. We are not certain which choices you may ultimately make, and you can leapfrog over where we thought you would be. So when people make predictions. It is one thing for us in the higher realms to predict based on our perspective, because we don't want to interfere with your free will. And if we tell you something is going to come to pass because we have a higher expanded consciousness, we are not playing directly in your game, then there is the potential for us to interfere with your free will. By us telling you something's coming, your energy goes towards it and you increase the probability of it manifesting. When you have someone within the third dimensional game accessing other records, that's a far more acceptable way from our perspective, because of free will, to get probable realities, all right, because you're playing in the game and it's part of the game. But where that person is vibrating, when they access those records, or what level they go to access those records, will determine what the prediction is. All right. Remember, you're constantly hopping back and forth between these timelines. So if this person takes a snapshot of that future, and you happen to be sharing that timeline and receive that prediction, you can very easily move off to another timeline which has a very different version of reality that plays itself out. Do you all understand what we mean by that? You're all so quiet. Are you all awake? Don't worry if you check out as well, because the frequency is rather high. So sometimes you might find yourself checking out, and that's quite all right. You're still getting the energetic download. So predictions can change. So don't get locked too much into it. And if you're getting a gloom and doom prediction, well, then don't hold on to it. Project something else for yourself. What is your reality going to be like? We can't stress this enough, because as you get closer to 2012, you're going to hear more and more doom and gloom. And we don't want to keep you in that vibration of fear. But look at it. When you hear that prediction, what gets activated in you? Look at it from that perspective. If something fearful gets activated in you, then that's an indication that you still have fear in your field, and that is all you need to recognize. All right? You don't have to buy into the prediction, but look and see where you're vibrating and what got activated. That's how it was of service to you, that prediction. But it doesn't have to come to pass. You can put yourself on another timeline. If you let go of that fear, you're not going to interact with it. You're not going to experience. If you decide that you're not ready to, all right, and you decide to stay in that fearful place, and sometimes that happens a bit when you turn on the news and you stay there, then you may experience it. And it's just experience for the sake of experience. There is no judgment there. You are constantly making choices, whether you like your vibrational state, you like where you're vibrating, or you want to change it. There is no wrong choice. There is no right choice. There's just shifting of the vibration. That makes a huge difference in your energetic field when we say that to you. There is no right or wrong, only vibrational choices. Right? It lets go of that judgment, that you're never trapped. You never make a wrong choice. What you may make after that is a course correction, but it wasn't a wrong choice. Indecision keeps your energy from flowing. So anytime you're in indecision, your energy just drops. It shuts down. At least if you make a choice, you can then make a course correction, because your energy is still flowing. It's still moving forward. And it's much easier then to open up your field than if you just shut down with fear. I'm going to make a wrong choice. All right? So any choice keeps the energy flowing. And you just make course corrections. Again, no judgment. We don't judge them. We have no judgment on your choices. We find some of them interesting and fascinating, but we don't judge them as being right or wrong. Some of them are quite unique. Very inventive, by the way. So we commend you for that. A lot of creativity going on in this room. So as you get closer to 2012, you're going to find a lot more of that stuff gets churned up. A lot more of that fear gets presented to mass consciousness to manipulate the event. All right? And when you hear about conspiracy theories and all of that as well, again, there is a level of the game where that is going on, but you don't have to partake in it. What you need to look at is that when you hear about those conspiracy theories, how does it make you feel? What gets triggered? What gets activated? All right? If you're vibrating outside of that range, you're never going to experience it. So you don't have to worry about it. You have your own built-in protection, if you will, and that is your frequency. There is a wonderful phrase from the Course in Miracles that you have on this planet. In my defenselessness, my safety lies. When you have no defenses, when you have no fears, that's when you are ultimately protected through the laws of resonance. Does that make sense to everyone? Yes. So if you can hold on to that thought, the more you let go of your fears, the more powerful and stronger you are, and you don't have to fight anything, because there's nothing to fight, because there's no fear, there's no attraction there. All right? When you're holding fear, then that's where you get the attraction. And that's when you're going to find that you have the conflicts. Because otherwise you're vibrating in joy, and what you attract to you is joy. All right? So know that we're always with you. You can call on us at any time. You just spent 3 hours in our energy today, so you've got a pretty good idea of what a vibration and a frequency is like. So you don't need an intermediary. You don't need Wendy to channel for you. All you have to do is ask for assistance and listen. And when you listen, it may seem like your imagination at first, but then what's your imagination anyway, so go with it. And we'll do our best to help you in any way that we can. All right? So until then, we'll be watching and waiting and sending many well wishes, dears.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our pleasure, dears.